Welcome back to the Living for His Glory podcast. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Paityn Valentine. If you remember Avery Cap from last week, Paityn is her roommate, and I got to know her the same time as Avery and Justice the week before that. And I'll tell you what, I'm really excited for this. I actually got to know Paityn a little bit before the other two, at least that night. Me and you had a really good discussion. Me and you connected really well. We got to talk a little bit about your story, a little bit about my story, and we just became really good friends from there. It's been really good being around you the last 6 weeks, getting to know you the last 6 weeks. But I'm really excited for this episode. I'm really excited to just get into your story a little bit, and we're going to talk about how that relates to life, how that has related to your life, how you've used that to impact other people in your own life and ministry, and where God has taken you in that, and also where He is taking you in that. Paityn's also a freshman at my school, Trevecca. What are you studying again?
Biology.
Biology major. So any questions about biology, she's got them. She knows everything already as a first semester freshman. She just went ahead and agreed with it. That's great. That's confidence. I like it. I'm really excited for this one. Paityn, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited for this.
You-
That's fun. I think you're the first person to ask me how I was doing. That's good. See, she's just thinking of others. I love it. She's just always thinking of others. It's great. Paityn, I sent you a little thing. I think that was a couple of days ago, so you've had some time to think about it, process it, decide what you do and don't want to say. Just because you're on here doesn't mean you have to tell everybody every little life detail you have. So we're just going to get into your story a little bit and how that's shaped the way that you live and shaped how you've treated others and just what God has been doing in that. I'll open up the floor to you and let you go.
Yeah, so I always raised up in a Christian-based household. We would go to church every Sunday and church obviously on Christmas and Easter. And my mom especially did a really good job with teaching me and my siblings like how to live like the Bible tells us to. But I feel like once I hit middle school, it was like going through the motions, like
Hmm.
going through a routine. Oh, it's just another Sunday church service that we're going to as a family. Like, I feel like I didn't appreciate going to church as much as I should, if that makes sense. And then it wasn't until my sophomore year of high school that I had both feet in two different buckets, and I realized I didn't want to live my life like that anymore. And so I started to give my life to Jesus more.
Mm.
And that's when it wasn't just going through the motions anymore. Like, I started to read my Bible. I have a notes journal that I like, and I like write notes in it and stuff like that. And then this past last Easter, I actually got baptized
Okay.
as like my own because I was baptized as a baby,
Uh-huh.
but I started going to my church like youth group,
Yeah.
and that changed my life in so many different ways.
Okay. So baptized this past spring,
Yeah.
senior year of high school? That's
Yes.
cool. That's really
Yep.
cool. I didn't know you then, but congratulations. I didn't know that you had done it that recently. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So when was it for you when you stopped with the sheer education of Jesus and you began the actual relationship with him?
Not many people know this about me, but I struggle a lot with anxiety,
Okay.
and I have very much of a perfectionist kind of mindset. I want to be good at everything I do, whether it comes to sports or school.
Hmm.
And so I was just mentally living in a hole, and I realized the only thing that truly brought me peace was Jesus
Okay.
and really seeking him out.
How did he bring you peace in your perfection seeking?
I started to pray more, and it was like almost, I don't really know how to explain it other than it was God's love because it like just filled me, filled my heart.
Gotcha. Is there anything, and it's okay if you haven't really thought about it or can't explain it, is there anything particular that the revelation of God's love revealed to you that no longer required you to be perfect?
I think that part of it is that God doesn't love anybody else more than someone else, if that makes sense. Like, just because, like, especially a perfectionist, this is what altered my mindset was that, like, God doesn't love one person more because they're better at a sport than you, or He doesn't love one person more because they're better Christian than you. God loves us all the same amount. He doesn't have more love for one person. We are all equal in his mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And would you say that it shows up in Jesus' parable about the one sheep against the 99, the one that got lost? So you could say it's not as important as the 99 because it was straight away. The 99 are
Yeah.
better because they didn't. But there is more rejoicing in heaven over one person who repents than there are if a righteous man stays righteous or a righteous woman stays righteous. There's way more rejoicing in that. And God's love is so pure and it's so amazing that no matter what somebody does, the one that goes away, he goes and gets that one because they're just as important. And I think in that moment to Jesus, that one is more important than the 99 because he
Yeah.
did leave the 99.
To get the one.
So there's a level of the one that was gone was more important than the 99 that were righteous. Like I would consider myself, for the most part, I have my sins and flaws, a righteous man. Would you
Yes.
consider not just me, but yourself? Would you
Yes.
the moments that me and you have been lost, there was an extreme importance to go get us. Those that are in our world that are lost right now, which we're in Nashville, there's plenty of them.
Yeah.
There's plenty of lawlessness here. There's plenty of sin here. Our campus, we live a mile and a half from Broadway. There's a lot that goes on there. I visited it. I remember the first time I visited it, I was like, holy moly, I'm out of my league here.
Yeah.
But especially if they were open to being saved, they would be much more important than me and you who are quote unquote righteous, because righteousness is such a interesting thing.
Yeah.
Neither of us are perfect. So interesting spin on it. You said your mother educated you a lot
Yeah.
about scripture, about Christ.
Yes.
How long has she been a believer?
She was actually raised up Catholic. And so her and my dad switched to the Nazarene. I think my dad was also raised Catholic too. It's like my whole family switched over to the Nazarene church.
It's an interesting switch.
Yeah,
Theology.
it is. I was baptized as a Catholic.
Okay.
So
how old were you when they switched to Nazarene?
I think, I can't remember. I had to be like preschool, I think.
Okay.
It was really like not long after that.
Okay.
But yeah. My mom, she is very much, I say, like the stronghold and the glue that holds my family together.
Okay.
So she was very important in like my spiritual life because she's inspired me in so many ways, just how much she's like for the Lord.
Okay.
And what I admire most about her was that she wasn't afraid to share it to others too.
Yeah. How has your mom inspired you that way? And you can go either with examples that of how she's done it, or how have you done the same in your life, and especially as you're in your first semester here in college, hundreds of miles from home.
Yeah. My mom, she like really taught us the importance of like kindness and how God shows us to love each other and like even your enemies to love your enemies. And I think that's what I carried the most from my mom was just the fact that you don't really know what someone else is going through in their life. So they might seem like a super bubbly person on the outside, but when they go home, they could have the most horrible home life.
Yeah.
Or they might be struggling to even have food on the table.
Yeah.
And I think that's also one thing my mom taught me, just like through the accent of Jesus, that you have to love others. And I think also, no matter how hard it gets, my mom never turns her back on God. And that was something I admire the most. So many people, when something gets hard, they like want to shut God out or they want to be angry at him and not listen to him. But I think that's something I took away from her a lot was that in those moments, you have to call out to God and hear him.
Did you ever have something happen in your life? We can use the word excuse, reason, we could use whatever. Have you ever had one reason that made you really want to turn from God, turn your back on him, or just lose your faith in general?
Not that I can think of. I'm pretty strong in my faith, especially now. Like, no matter how hard it gets, I will never turn my back on God because that's like kind of what keeps me going.
Yeah.
But I think like maybe when I wasn't so strong in my faith, I didn't really turn to God, if that makes sense, as much as I should have.
You can avoid the question if you need to. What did you turn to?
I think I just would sit in my inner thoughts, if that makes sense. Like,
Interesting. You went to a view of self, a
yeah,
view
like
like
I literally would probably like spiral sometimes, or I
okay.
would, I don't know, I'd turn to other people, if that makes sense. Like, I would seek out other people instead of going to God first.
I think that's something that me and you share in common.
But yeah.
I definitely I also have that tendency, like to
Mhm.
rely on somebody else.
Yeah. And that's why I think being here was so important for me because I think I didn't realize how much I depended on other people.
And how has that transition been? Where you talk about you, how long were you growing up? You were just a little south of Chicago, weren't you?
Yeah, 1 hour south.
1 hour south. How long were you there?
I've been there my entire life. I haven't moved a single day. This was the only time I'd moved in my entire life. So I lived in the same small town, surrounded by all my family.
Yeah. Especially now, you developed throughout your first 18 years of being alive, 18 and a
Mhm.
half years of being alive. You develop people that you could go to, best friends, people that you go to, parents that you can go to whenever you want. You can text them, hey, let's go get lunch, dinner, let's go hang out at and just sit in a parking lot somewhere. I don't know how where you hung out with your friends, but let's go hang out and let's go talk. You come here, the only person that you knew was your roommate, which from what you guys have told me growing up, you guys didn't hang out too much on your
Yeah,
own.
we were from two separate towns, and I didn't start going to her church until the fourth grade.
Oh, okay. So you come here only with that small, not so
Mhm.
strong relationship, nobody.
Yeah.
How was that transition of leaving everything that you did know and now having to get into and start getting into where you are here? Has that altered your faith? Has that strengthened it? Sometimes maybe weakened it?
I think it's really strengthening my faith because I like write out prayers a lot in my journal to speak to God. And I feel like, especially from here, I feel like instead of me talking to God, I'm finally like learning to listen to Him
Hmm.
instead.
Okay.
And I'm trying to learn to be still because moving from a small town to a city where you know nobody,
Hmm.
it was very hard, especially after the first 3 days, reality kind of kicked in. I don't think I realized because even my grandma was like, "Oh, you're gonna be so far away. Are you sure you can do it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be fine. I can come home on breaks. I'm not gonna miss home. Like, it's gonna be here when I come back." I had such a good, strong mindset about it. And then I didn't realize how important those people are from home and how much I truly do miss them. And it's in like the quiet moments that you start to miss them a lot.
Yeah.
But
How far of it is a drive back
it's
home?
like 8 hours.
8 hours. Mine's 3.5. My
Hmm.
freshman year felt the same thing.
Yeah.
I was close enough to home that I could go back whatever weekend I wanted to, and I
Hmm.
did. But the weekends I did go home, it didn't fix anything because I had to go
Yeah.
right back to Treka. I had to come
Yeah.
right back down to the reality that I didn't like because it wasn't what I knew. It was
Hmm.
different. I thought it wasn't going to be that different. It was.
Yeah. I
Go ahead.
I think the hardest part is looking back and seeing the relationships you built with other people from home. Honestly, like a lot of my friends I've had for like multiple years, like since probably kindergarten. And it's hard to compare it here where you're starting to make new friends and
Mhm.
it doesn't necessarily feel the same way.
Yeah. Have you tried to project your old friends from back home onto new friends here?
Seeing
Yeah,
other
like
people.
yeah, let's say like I grew up with my friends. I went to a
Mhm.
private Christian school, so we basically grew up together. Me and my teammates, me and my high school teammates, we played golf together in high school. We were my senior year, we were runner up in the state championship, and we were all in the same grade. So five seniors on the team. I think the guy that was there the least amount of time with us was in the sixth grade. So we had spent like 5 years together, 6 years together, like growing up, learning each other's tendencies, learning about who each other was, just all those things. And I loved them. We loved each other. We had each other's back. We knew it was going to on each other's minds. We knew how to correct each other. We knew how to keep each other accountable. We knew how to encourage each other. We knew what things to say and what not to say. I come here. Not only did I know people here, but they also come from different backgrounds. They came from different cities. My roommate was from Dallas. I had teammates that were over from the West Coast in Vegas. I had guys from Philadelphia and up north and even across the pond and in Europe. And all of a sudden, that culture change of, oh my goodness, these guys don't behave the same way. They don't accept the same things. They don't think the same ways. And so I tried looking for my team, for my ex-teammates, my brothers, and my new teammates. That didn't go well. I mean, you're on the track and field team here, right?
Yes.
Have you felt the same things?
I have. I've tried to place people that I was close with on my team and compare them to people on my team.
Yeah.
And it really is not.
It doesn't work, does
It
it?
doesn't work, yeah.
They're their own human beings.
Yes.
You start figuring out, oh, they're not from a small town.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's just an
Yeah.
interesting move there. Have you started to move away from that? Have you started?
I did because I started to realize that like those people were very important in my life and we took kind of years to build that type of relationship. And I just think like everybody's their unique self and nobody's gonna be the same person. And especially my mom was like telling me like in high school you had to make new friends, but at the same time I really didn't because I have a big like my family's a big family in our town. Everybody knows us.
Mhm.
And literally I met one new person and her name's Megan. She's like my all-time like best friend. And I met her my freshman year, but we didn't start becoming close until that like second year. But
I think you'll find that true with some of your teammates here if you
yeah.
stick around for sophomore year, which I encourage. How has that shift in realizing that your teammates are their own unique individuals? How has that shaped the way that you've approached them? And just also, how has that shaped and formed you to grow?
I think it's just gonna be a different type of relationship. I think like back to one of my friends on my cross country team, she's a sophomore, no, junior now. But me and her, we were really close. Like the person you'd go to, we pray together before every single race, and then we would always go to each other after and before a race. And I think it's hard here because I really don't necessarily have that person. And I think that it's just gonna take time to maybe find that person on my team or even necessarily make different types of relationships. It's not gonna be the same, but
They're all unique in their own ways, and that's a beautiful thing.
yeah.
But we are so used to as because I wasn't from a small town per se, but I grew up in a small group of people because I was a private Christian school kid.
Yeah.
And so on that level, I definitely relate. And at least from my perspective of being here, I didn't find like one of my best friends on that team, his name's Gray. Great golf. He plays golf for Belmont, so he's close. I tried looking for him on my team, and he's pretty quiet. He led by example. His mentality was, I'm going to lead you guys by being the one man. And he was that guy. He's a really good golfer. But he was also funny. Off the golf course, he was funny, maybe a little awkward, but he really got to grow into himself over the years, became a lot more relaxed, became a lot more comfortable. And I saw that growth from him. He could sometimes be a bit of a pain, but I think a little bit of that was just miscommunication, not quite understanding the way he was. And I remember I came onto the team and I'm like, all right, I need my next Gray because Gray served as my big brother. Gray served as the guy that I was always trying to catch. He was the guy that was always trying to push me to be better as well. And there was some smack talk going on, in which case I was often the guy that was put on my butt because he was kicking my butt. I was often that guy, and I was looking for that new guy, that new kind of big brother, maybe even role model, somebody to push me and help me do better but also for me to go chase on my team. And there's some guys that had qualities like that, but there was nobody that was great.
Yeah. And
Nobody.
it's hard.
Uh-huh. It was a hard thing for me to accept.
Yeah.
Made me lash out in a lot of anger, which got my teammates really mad at me. So I went from a team that we all loved each other and knew each other to all of a sudden I'm the guy on my team that nobody likes.
That's hard.
Yeah, it was. And it's just an interesting, and all because nothing that they did. They're being their own unique to themselves.
So
And I
sad.
just didn't want to accept that.
Yeah. It's hard going from a team that was so good to
Yeah.
now this is a new team, a new environment. You have to find your place in that. And
Yeah.
I feel as a freshman, it's really hard because if you think about going to high school, I always knew people on the team. It wasn't like nobody knew me, but here nobody knew you.
Yeah.
So they didn't know who you were. like as a person. They just know you as, oh, you're a new person on this team.
Yeah. It was hard growing from a group of brothers that I knew and they knew me, and in a lot of ways leading them and being and having a leadership role. We all kind of had a leadership role in our own rights. And then going on to a new team in a new city with new different people, that's okay, I'm the new kid on the block.
Yeah.
I try to take that old mentality to them because, like I said, we were runner up in the state.
Yeah.
Like we had a really
Good team.
talented team, very good team. And I try to take that winning culture here because very, we don't have a very winning culture, at least especially at the time. We've gotten better now. And that didn't work because I was the guy coming into their culture, not they were going to adapt to my culture. And that caused a lot of issues. Did you have that kind of, when you came on the team, was there almost a preposition of this, my culture is what I'm going to bring to the table and whatever they have, I'm not even going to think about it?
Not necessarily, because I feel like it's a little different with our running team. I feel like there's definitely the hardest part is definitely like people obviously form their friendships and stuff, which is given like
Mm.
especially with like upperclassmen. But I feel like everybody's so individualized
Yeah.
with when it comes to I don't know how to explain it.
You said they're individualized. Is your team just more of a group of individuals together, or are there some real camaraderie there? Because
No, there's some real camaraderie.
gotcha. Because everybody runs their own race.
Yeah, everybody runs. Obviously, we are a team and we run together as a team. And when we race together, we're racing not necessarily for ourselves, but for our team. But I'm trying to say, coming in as a freshman, it's just hard given that like everybody else is so much closer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They've
That
had the
makes
time.
sense. Yeah.
They've had the time to be that.
But like once, obviously, with time and stuff, it's just you're gradually gonna fit in with those people. Especially like now, like I think these past 2 weeks, I finally feel like part of their like family, I guess, because I've gotten to know everybody
Yeah.
and I've gotten to become friends and build those relationships with everybody.
Yeah. What advice would you have for somebody that was in a new environment and a need to make new friends, not quite knowing how and believing and thinking that they may already be left out because everybody else knows each other and has already formed their own friend groups?
I would say just putting yourself out there. It's really hard and it's really scary, but you're never gonna regret it. And the worst thing comes to worst, if they don't accept you, then that's just a way of God showing you stuff that you don't necessarily see. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, especially like in high school, like I was excluded from a friend group that I used to hang out with all the time, and it turned out it was because they were drinking and partying, and they knew that was not my morals, and I don't live by that. And I didn't know that until after, and I took it in my mind was like, oh, they don't like me anymore. I'm not being invited, I'm being excluded. But in reality, it was God just shutting that off because I didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. And I think that was probably one of the biggest lessons I learned about like friendships and not being invited somewhere.
Yeah. Heard a quote where God removed them from your life because he heard conversations that
It's
you
you
didn't.
did. Yeah.
Like he knows things that
You don't. Yeah.
you summarized Kobe Bryant's definition of fearlessness, really just putting yourself out there and going for it. That's something that he lived by, and he used it in the context of going out and achieving your dream, what you wanted to do with your life, just putting yourself out there and going for it. And he talks about the idea that we have as humans of if I put my heart and soul into something and go all in, which is what being fearless is to him, and I fail, then what does that mean about myself? If I put myself out there and I go to insert myself into that friend group or I insert myself into whoever, maybe you find a guy or a girl pretty attractive, you're like, man, I want to go talk to them, I want to go out with them, or whatever, and they figure out who you are and they don't want to go out with you. It's okay, what does that say about me then? Am I this or that or the other? Am I failure? Am I
Yeah.
and you start creating these negative false realities that they're false. They're not even real. And now you don't do something and you may have missed out on something great. Do you think there's a way to conquer that?
I think to conquer that. Okay.
Conquer that fear?
I think I'm checking. Like coming here, I was scared to meet new people and make new friendships, I guess, in a way, because I was scared that I wasn't gonna necessarily find my people. Like I had people back home. But I think like overcoming that fear is that, especially as a freshman, everybody around you is trying to make new friends. So it's not just you. But even like in another example in the world, like I feel like if have you heard the thing where it's like you miss 100 of the shots that you don't take?
Yeah,
And
100%.
I feel like that's like what you live by. Like how are you gonna know unless you don't try?
Yeah.
And if it fails, then you learn from that and you can either try again or take that experience and go do something greater with it.
Yeah. It's simply what's worth failing at.
Exactly.
Let me tell you, if it's a big enough of a dream, if you want it bad enough,
You will make it happen.
and you have to be willing, you have to accept that you're going to fail at it.
Yeah. It's also reminds me of the thing that like when you pray and you ask God for like strength, it's like your parents. He's not going to necessarily give you strength, hand it to you. He's going to teach you how to become strong.
100%.
Like he's going to teach you. It's like riding a bike. Like your parents don't hold on to you the entire time. They have to let you go.
Yeah, have to. There's this thing, gentle parenting, that people they're babying their kids all the way out, all the way until they're out of the house going to college. And then as we know, that's a bad strategy because they go out into the real world and get absolutely destroyed. I remember several years ago, I was talking with my dad, and he was being really open and honest with me about doesn't know why a good and loving God and our Father, right? He doesn't know why a good and loving Father, a perfect Father, would let harm befall his kids. Because I can't imagine myself letting bad things happen to you, Lucas. Because God knows that if He coddles us, if He does gentle parenting with us, and not just in terms of letting bad things happen to us, but also disciplining us,
Yeah.
also not convicting us, He knows that if that doesn't happen, then we're going to end up being spoiled and we're not going to see everything that He needs us to see. How can we see God's glory if we don't see the areas where it's not there?
There. Yeah, that
If
is so true.
Yeah, the whole aspect of faith is that it's not certain. I've been talking some theology with my professors, and he said the fact that we can love God means that we have the option to hate him. If you have the option to love something, that means you also have the option to hate it.
That's something our pastor said. He emphasized if you're angry at God, tell him.
Yeah.
Like
That's what Job did.
There's gonna be times where you're gonna question like God, why would you let that happen?
Yeah.
Like why?
Yeah.
And be angry at him. And that's okay.
Yeah, I wonder why certain things failed sometimes. And I question God. I still today can question God about things that happened years ago.
Yeah.
Like certain things in my life, I'm like, man, God, why did it happen like that? Because if I was writing the story, it wouldn't have happened like that. Why did you let it happen like that? And there are certain things where it's a few years down the road now where I'm like, okay, yeah.
That happened.
Yeah, I can have a hardened heart about it sometimes. I can have a heart of stone sometimes. And even though I'm like, okay, I guess that wouldn't have happened if that didn't happen. Like, I guess this good wouldn't have happened without this evil. But man, I really didn't want that evil to happen in my life. I really didn't want that bad to happen in my life. I really didn't, but it did. And look at the good that came out of it. And I think it's selfish of us as humans to be like, man, I wish that evil didn't happen. But if that evil didn't happen, then those good things that glorified God would also wouldn't have happened. And everything, God calls us to something greater. And in all things, God works for his good. God works for his glory in all things.
Yeah. It's like I live by this. I don't remember exactly what verse it is, but it's like God will turn like what was meant for evil for good.
Yeah, that's in the story of Joseph. Joseph, when his brothers sold him into slavery, he went to Egypt. He was there. He served in Potiphar's house, and then he got falsely accused of adultery. Got put in prison for several years. Got out of prison, interpreted the Pharaoh's dream, saved the Egyptians from famine that surely would have killed them. And then later in that, when the famine hit after the 7 years of abundance, his brothers came back to him. Or his brothers didn't come back. They came back to them, but they came to go get some food because they were starving in a famine where they lived. And Joseph did a whole thing. I encourage you to read the Bible on it. It's a really cool story. DreamWorks actually made a movie about it called Joseph, King of Dreams. I don't know if you've ever watched that movie.
I think I have.
It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
It's a cartoon and a musical.
Yeah.
If you don't like cartoons and a musical, just watch it. You'll like this one. And it's just so good of if they didn't commit the evil of selling him into slavery, many Egyptians would have been wiped out, and maybe his whole family and his people, the Israelites, would have been wiped out just because he didn't obey God, just because that awful evil did not happen. And that's where he looked at his brothers and said that what the enemy meant for evil, God meant for good, because God brought that ultimate good.
Yeah.
I think that closer ties in with the book of Romans. Romans chapter 8 is known as one of the most happy and
Yeah.
Romans chapter 8 is it's one of those chapters that has a few verses that you'll see on a coffee mug or
Oh yeah.
or a t-shirt or on a
It's like
tattoo,
sign.
like a sign, which is funny because its preceding chapter does not. Its preceding chapter is actually, it's a psalm-like way of Paul writing. But in Romans 8:28, it's the reason we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Me and you have been called according to his purpose. Me and you love him. And he's going to work good out of all things, the good and the bad. And it's working. It said in the next verse, it says, for those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his son. The whole premise of Christianity is Jesus' resurrection on the cross and what that means for us in new life. New life means conforming to the image of his son, not, as it says earlier in this book, conforming to the patterns of this world. And then it goes into the renewing of your mind. The renewing of your mind is conforming to the image of his son and not the world that we live in. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
The Bible's a cool thing.
It is.
It's a really cool thing.
It is.
I was actually going through that with a mentor of mine today, and he's awesome. So these things that happen in our lives, not just the good, but also the evils,
Yeah.
like also the bad. And I have another example of this, but I'm not sure if we have the time. It's just a lot of details. But no matter what's happening in your life, whether you do good at a race, you make a new friend, you ace that exam, which good, ace some exams, all right?
Yeah.
That's what we're here for. We're here to ace some exams. We're here to get an education. All those things work for his good.
Yes.
But also the bad, the traumas. I came and asked you on here to talk a little bit about your story, and I have my story. And guess what? Those stories that we have, they work for something.
Yeah.
I've used my story. I've talked about my story to so many people, and I have seen God use that story, use my story for transformation in other people's lives.
Something that also changed in my mind was like, say thank you to God.
Yeah.
As much as it hurts, show him gratitude
Yeah.
because you know it's going to turn out to good.
Yeah.
Like everything that he puts you through is for a reason.
Yeah. That's really cool.
It's just like the glory of God, especially like now, I can't imagine a life without him. I can't imagine like people who don't have a relationship with God. Like I'm just like my heart hurts for them and I pray for them that they will someday encounter his presence.
Yeah. You know what? Thank you for that. Thank you for that. You just spoke into my life. It's just saying thank you to, I'm serious. It's just saying thank you to God.
Yeah.
Like even for that. Even that in that wrestling with God and even with that, man, why did this happen? I think that's just the wrong question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the wrong question. Why did that happen? The why is the wrong question to ask because God is not something that we can comprehend. There's a lot of false gods out there. There's one true God and a lot of false ones. And for a large part, we can know who the false ones are just based off can we understand them and their motives and what they're doing it for. If we look at mythological gods, like there's some in-depth level explaining from humans about why certain gods do what they do. And God, everything that we know about God was revealed to us by God.
Yeah.
We came up with nothing about God. Everything we know about God, he revealed to us and he told us. That's how I know that our God is truly that great. Because what kind of God, what kind of true God can we as humans and our moral brains understand? At that point, they're just superpowered beings. At that point, they're just spiritual deities with some
Yeah.
superpowers. A true God is something that you can't fully comprehend. You can never, in biology, you can learn everything about the human body.
Yeah.
There is certainty in that of studies, of science, of I know my heart beats and pumps blood throughout my body. For a lot of professions like biology, we go to learn about that thing. God is something that theology is God learning about, or not God learning about us, but God knowing us and then God interacting with us and revealing himself to you, not us going and learning about God ourselves, our own knowledge and imagination and power.
Yeah.
That's how,
It's insane.
yeah, that's how great
It's
God
so
is.
cool.
God is so great that we can't learn about him. He just has to be revealed to us.
And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. God revealed himself ultimately through Jesus, God in flesh. Oh man, did not expect this conversation to go this way, but I'm glad it did. This is some really good theology here. I'm hoping I explained that in a way that would make my professors proud. I might need to send this to my professor to check out. Hey, did I do this? I may have not explained it right, but I think I did. Help.
Good.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. He was actually giving a lecture today about theologians that think they all have it figured out through their own theory or model or whatever. That's probably not a good theologian because they're missing it because that denotes of their theory about God or their concept about God becomes their God instead of God constantly revealing himself to them. They think they have God figured out, but God's too infinite to figure out. It's an interesting.
It is.
He said, I think his exact quote was, "There's no such thing as a big theologian. There's only little theologians. The only difference between a student theologian and a teacher theologian is a teacher theologian has just been doing it longer."
Wow.
That's cool, isn't
That
it?
is cool, yeah. Wow.
God's cool.
God is cool.
Just letting God reveal himself. How has God revealed? That's actually a great question. How has God revealed himself to you in this time that you spent in your freshman year here at Tribeca?
I think through peace,
Hmm.
because I've struggled a lot being here and finding peace. But especially, I know it sounds like chapel, you go to chapel, like that's, of course, you're going to feel God's presence there. But I've never felt God's presence so much in my entire life than a chapel that we had during spiritual deepening week. And we stayed after, could you not, for an hour and 30 minutes. There were people at the altar. I went down to the altar too. And I remember like we had our arms around each other. Like I was praying for people. I didn't even know who they were, and I was praying for people. And I was just like, wow, this is God's presence in here. Like this could have been nothing else but the presence of God.
Man, I wish I saw that. I wish I was there for that.
And I remember like calling my mom after, and I'm like, Mom, like I literally experienced like the so much of God in one room for the past 2 hours. Like my mind is just blown with how good our God is.
Yeah.
Like it is insane. And the funny thing is, actually, me and Avery went to church, and I talked about how like I miss there being altars. There was altars at our church. And I said, nowhere here are there altars. And then we come to spiritual deepening week, and what's his name? Eric, right? Was like, we have altars here and I want you guys to come up to them if you need it. And I was like, I didn't even pray about that, but I know God was listening to me.
Oh yeah, 100%. We had weekly chapels in high school, and nobody listened, and everybody was tuned out. They were strict about not having phones in there for us, so we didn't have them. But nobody was listening. We're just zoning out. Maybe talk to your buddy a little bit. Nobody really cared or listened. But my last semester of high school, we had a spiritual deepening week. They've had one every semester since, thanks be to God. And it was Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday's sermon. And they brought this guy in. I don't remember his name. I don't even remember the full details of what he preached on. But I remember how deeply he touched my classmates. Chapel ended around 9:55, and then we had to go to class. or no, that's when it started, and then it ended 45 to 50 minutes later. And typically we leave to a third hour class, but the majority of my school stayed and was in time of prayer and reflection. And that just went and went, and it turned into times of student teaching. That went into times of more prayer. That there was a lot of tears being shed. There were things about God being revealed. Eventually, the middle school, we shared a building with them. They had to do their own chapel, and we moved to the library, and we continued. A lot of us didn't eat lunch that day, myself included. When I got out of school, I was famished. But let me tell you, while I was in that with my classmates in chapel, in library, eventually went back to the chapel and continued. I legit was not hungry in that time. And I remember we did some more worship at a point, and I saw all of my classmates who I was convinced for years they were just not going to hear the prep. They were just not going to hear chapel. They weren't going to experience it. God was just not going to move in their hearts there. And spiritual deepening week hit. I do remember his name now. It was Lamoris Crawford. If you want to go look him up, I think he's a well-known preacher. He has a blue check mark by his Instagram.
Oh, then yeah.
Yeah, so he's well known. He was very good preacher. And the way that he moved in that, it showed up in speeches at graduation.
Wow.
So many people moved, and me and my buddy Jacob Smith were the two guys that were the more spiritual ones at our school, the ones that God moved more in our lives. And there were many more that got really strong after that, which I was very happy to see. And we just got to, Jacob led a little bit of just some teaching time in a group. I went around on more of an individual base. I went to some of my classmates that I saw being wrecked by this and being shaped by this that normally wouldn't be. And it was such a cool experience of watching God work, of watching God show up in a way that even me, as somebody at that time, I was like, all right, I'm going to go study pastoral ministry at college. I was committed to go do it, accepted to go do it. And I was convinced that God was not going to work.
Yeah.
As an aspiring pastor at that point, certain God was not going to work because I'd seen no evidence of him working, at least in a chapel setting.
Yeah.
And here he was, and there he was. He showed up for my classmates in our last semester.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. And it really challenged as I reflect on it later, it challenged me because I was like, how can I, somebody that's supposed to be a steward for the Lord, not even have believed that God could work? You know who I was? I was like Jonah. I didn't get eaten by a whale, but I was like Jonah. I was like, God, surely they can't.
Yeah.
Surely they're not good enough. But they were.
Wow. I have another time also was when you were about to go to bed and I saw you and I knew God placed.
Yes. And yeah, our conversation. That's right.
Yeah.
I remember walking past and you weren't out by the fire, you were inside.
Yeah.
And you were talking with some friends, and I love talking with you and Avery, especially I catch you guys when I'm about to go to bed. I enjoy those conversations. They're fun. We bonded over those. And normally you were with some friends. Avery wasn't with you. Justice wasn't with you.
Yeah.
And so normally I might just continue walking to bed and let you enjoy your friends. But I was like, no, I got to go talk to her. And we'll keep that private, which is fine. But I remember I was like, no, God, no. I was like, God was moving me. And especially at this point, especially after realizing that I was at one point Jonah, I'm not going to, if I feel God moving me somewhere, I'm not going to let that happen. I'm just not. And so God moved me to you, and we had an amazing talk. And at least I think that you were shaped and formed in some way.
Yes.
And helped in some way. I'm glad.
Yeah, me too. It was definitely after I was like, wow, like God knew, like God just really knew.
Yeah, absolutely. And I lost a little bit of sleep that night, but that's totally fine. And yeah, no, you were more worried about it than I was.
Yeah.
I had 6 a.m.
6 a.m. lifts be brutal sometimes.
I'm still the most energetic. I could get no sleep. And I promise I will wake up for 6 a.m. lifts with more energy than you.
Wow.
I promise you.
I did the last one on 4 hours of sleep. I don't know how.
Yeah. So honestly, the first time I ever did that as well, there's something that kept me, I had a reason to stay awake that night. It wasn't just that I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time I went to bed at 1 a.m. and I'm like, great, I got 4 hours and I got to wake up for lifts. I'm going to be exhausted. I'm going to be dead. For some reason, I woke up with more energy than normal.
Wow.
It never hit me. I never had to go take a nap. I was like, okay, maybe I have to go take a nap. Nope, had complete energy the whole day.
Yeah.
I don't know how that worked.
Same.
That's called God right there.
Yeah.
That's called some weird circadian rhythm, whatever. But that's God working.
Yes.
Thanks be to God for keeping me awake there.
Yes.
Oh, that's good. He's a worker.
Yes, he is.
He's a miracle worker. Let me tell you, there's no place that he can be there's no place you can go that he can't be. It even ties to our conversation earlier about the sheep.
Yeah.
There's no place that you can be lost.
Before my uncle passed away, he gave his testimony and he said, "You're never so far beyond the need of God's grace, but you're never so far unworthy of God's grace." And that's something that I would live by to this day because it is so true. Like your best days, you still need God.
Yeah,
And your worst days, you're not so far like unworthy that God's not going to come for you.
absolutely. And God's always trying to reach us.
Yes.
As one of my mentors I had him on here a couple months ago. He said that whenever there's a disconnect between you and God, it's never God, it's always you.
Yep. It's true.
Did God turn his face from us, or did we turn our face from him?
Wow. And it's so true.
Yeah,
And oftentimes we do it and not realize.
yeah. God didn't turn his face from Israel in the Old Testament except when they did that to him first. That was in the covenant. When God made the covenant with Abraham, it was in the covenant.
Yeah.
Hey, if you guys do not obey this covenant, if you
Yeah.
guys turn from me, these bad things will happen.
Yeah.
And these bad things happen. The exile, the whole cycle of Judges in that book, which is an awful, gory book if you've ever read it. It gets worse and worse and worse, and the end was atrocious. The exile with Babylon, the splitting of the two nations into Israel and Judah, and then the northern kingdom Israel never even came back. Like they became Samaritans, which was a negative. They were looked on very negatively in the culture back when Jesus was alive. Later on, like it was just insane everything that happened, and it all happened not because God wasn't a God of His word, but because we were people that were not people of our word.
Yeah.
We didn't honor that covenant. So where are we going to repent and honor that covenant again? That's the beauty of it. We always get a chance for repentance. Even before Jesus, the Israelites got multiple chances to repent and go back to God, and God was always welcoming. That's the beauty of it.
There's always a seat at his table.
Yes, 100%. That is such a beautiful aspect of God.
It is.
It's really good. Normally I come up with one, but I'm gonna see if you got one first. Do you have a good challenge of the week for us, Paityn?
My challenge for everybody is
Challenge.
what?
The Chicago accent. The Chicago accent came out.
It's just to listen to God and sit in his presence. And don't be so quick to you. Does that make sense? Don't be so quick for yourself. Just to be still in God's presence and let him speak to you and listen to him.
Absolutely. He's always reaching out to us, right?
Yes.
He's always reaching out to us. Turn your face back to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes it takes discipline. Sometimes it takes getting over yourself, your own pride, and on the other side of it, your own guilt and shame.
Yeah.
And fully stepping into what God's telling you. And I'm telling everything that God is telling you, every single thing is found in one place. This book, the Bible right here. Everything that God says, everything that He's working, everything that He wants is found right there. Everything that He says about you, everything that He affirms about you, and everything that He commands us to do and living the proper life, living the most fulfilling life. Because that's what He wants for us.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate things He wants for us. That's found right here in the Bible. And I think the best way to carry out Paityn's challenge of the week is to carry out that challenge of the week. Read your Bible. I was texting one of my mentees the other day. I don't just have mentors, I have mentees as well.
Yeah.
But I just call them little brothers, or in your case, little sister. So I was texting one of my little brothers, and I said, hey, man, remember, put that phone down and go read your Bible. It's that important.
I feel like a lot of people push it off to the side.
Yeah.
But no, Read your Bible.
It's a major core of our faith. That's how we know
Yes.
about it. Everything we know about our faith, everything that was that God revealed to us
It's
is,
in that book.
yes, it is. It was found in the Bible. We talk
Yeah.
about God revealing himself. That's how he did it.
Yes.
He did it through the Bible. Go read it. Go learn about God. Go let God reveal himself through his word.
Yes.
Paityn, it was a pleasure having you on here.
Thank you, Lucas.
Thank you so much. Thanks for not giving me an awkward sibling hug like Avery did last week.
She gave you an eye.
Yeah, she gave me an awkward sibling hug. You can go watch it. She gave me an awkward sibling hug. And that's just, I guess that's just one of the things that we do, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's different. Every relationship is different, but it's all fun. It's all good. I love and respect each and every single one of them.
Yes.
Paityn, thank you for being on here. I know you confided that you were a little nervous.
Yeah, just a little bit.
But you handled yourself very well, and I really did enjoy this.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. I'm glad I got to share this with you. It was good. Awesome. Guys, love you. I appreciate you. Go carry out those 2 challenges of the week, but really they're just one. Really, they're one and the same. They're one challenge, just put in 2 different ways. She gave you the challenge, I gave you the method. Go and carry that out this week, and let's live for God's glory. I'll see you guys next week. I can't wait. It's going to be a really good one. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Living for His Glory. I had such an amazing time making it, and I really hope it connected and impacted you on a significant level. I love making and recording episodes like these. I truly believe that they fulfill the Living for His Glory mission, which is to help you break free of your worldly chains and step into the person that God has called you to be. I love you guys. I hope you guys got a lot out of this. I hope that it changes something about how you do this week. I hope you have a good day and a good week as we continue to get ready for next week's episode. Have a good day, guys, and I'll see you later.